Shitcase Cinema. On the Shitcase Cinema. Oh, it's the Shitcase Cinema.
Pet Sematary.
Pet Sematary.
So, with summer here,
Fuck, I'm getting soaked.
this is the perfect feel-good movie, a heartwarming tale of a family who moved to the countryside to breathe in the clean fresh air, talk to the friendly old man who lives over the road, and the father figure, Lewis, has a new job as the town's doctor. Ecstasy! Not the drug. But mention that Stephen King wrote this story and ooh, now you're talking about some scary shit indeed, like running a kid over with a huge truck, but we'll get to that later on. I just thought I'd throw that story point in to ruin it for people who haven't actually seen the movie, because let's face it, are you actually going to go out and hunt for Pet Sematary in your local video store after you've seen this review? No! Of course you are. So, Pet Sematary is spelt wrong for a start. Yeah, I know the story behind that. It's not Stephen King's fault he's slightly inbred and strange, but for now we'll settle for saying that it's because the kids built a cemetery and they couldn't spell because kids are obviously uneducated in this day and age. So the Creed family move into their new house and meet their new neighbour Judd, played by the great Fred Gwynne, who is probably most well known for his role in the Monsters TV show. So things start off nice and normal until one day a guy is killed in a road accident.
Never to return again.
Yeah, and suddenly comes back to life to spit blood on Lewis. Oh, and to tell him that the soil of a man's heart is stonier. Wow, you returned from the afterlife to tell me that piece of useful information. Brilliant, but all Lewis has to say is,
How did you know my name?
whereas I would have said, how are you alive after you died? Is there really a heaven? And if so, is it shit and that's why you've come back to life to bore me with stupid fucking lame questions about soil in my heart? Anyway, so yeah, it's called Pet Sematary. So the family have a pet cat called Church who ends up being killed in the road, and one morning Judd and Lewis pick him up and decide, as they're alone, to throw a wild party by having a few beers, getting completely pissed up, desecrating some ancient Indian burial ground and planting the dead cat into the earth like you do. Next morning and bingo, your cat's back alive and, well, isn't that something? So jumping back to the kid getting run over again, and again, and again. Okay, that's enough, that's really awful. Judd and Lewis get pissed up again, and Judd tells us a tale about when he was a kid, and he had a dog that came back, and then he tells us a tale about someone burying a person up in the pet cemetery. Of course, they come back majorly retarded and stinking like shit with maggots and worms crawling on them, no doubt. So what does Lewis do? Yeah, he goes and buries his dead son in the pet cemetery. Smart move, Lewis. So throughout the film, to keep things warped to entertain like-minded Stephen King fans, we have Lewis fighting his father-in-law at a funeral and a shocking shot of a dummy in a mini coffin, the cat revealing it's actually a pervert by watching Lewis take a bath, Lewis standing on dead rubber rats, Lewis raking leaves, Lewis talking to the dead guy who visits him every now and then when he gets sick and tired of heaven, and just lots of other boring stuff involving Lewis. Oh, and there's also an odd story that Lewis's wife tells us about her deranged sister who had a spinal deformity and choked to death. Thanks. Only Stephen King could write stupid shit like that and get it published. I love the guy. Now, I'll quickly just mention the little girl because she's one of the most annoying characters I've ever seen in a film. Her incessant screaming and crying is positively the most annoying thing you'll ever hear. Until Christmas rolls around again and you hear all those bloody awful Mariah Carey songs. I used to literally mute the TV every time a scene with her was on, no kidding. I mean, why couldn't the truck just run her over? No funerals then, probably endless joy and parties. Lewis getting pissed up probably, and because he wouldn't know about the pet cemetery, he'd probably just burn his house down for the fun of it. Oh, another scene ruined there. But are you really going to go out and buy Pet Sematary in your local video shop? So the little kid comes back, and naturally the first thing that a resurrected dead baby would do is instantly go hunting through his dad's belongings in the hope of finding a scalpel. Amazing. So with the family all separated up due to Lewis's drinking problems and weird drunken games of burying whatever he can find in the ancient Indian burial ground, His wife has the mother of all conniption fits when she decides to run through an airport, pushing people out of the way and shouting "excuse me," while the friendly ghost who haunts Lewis pops up and randomly helps her out by booking a car, keeping her company on the long flight, and then catching a ride in the truck. Oops. So as you can possibly imagine, she comes face to face with her dead little zombie baby, which doesn't surprise her whatsoever. I mean, couldn't they at least make him look a bit wasted like this little gimp from Braindead? So instead of seeing her getting killed, we hear her screaming, sure, but all we see is the truck. Did anyone ever see that Stephen King film called Maximum Overdrive? If not, you're missing a real treat. It's amazingly bad. It's got lots of trucks in as well. So Judd gets drunk and goes on a midnight mission looking for food in his neighbour's house. You see, never trust old people. They may appear sweet and nice on the outside, but they're really evil, and oh my god, that's got to hurt. See, that really makes me cringe no matter how many times I see this film. Little bastard. See, that's why we should hate kids. So Judd ends up being killed, and then Lewis decides to get in on the action. So let me guess, the dead demon baby also kicks the shit out of Lewis? Yeah, look at him fly out of the attic or loft or whatever you want to call it, depending on where you live in the world. But how did he even get up there in the first place? I'm not questioning his ability to fly out and attack his old man, but getting up there must be a real task. So anyway, Lewis doesn't like being defeated by a 2-year-old, so he pulls out every doctor's best friend here and uses this drug to kill his son. Again. Lewis then burns up his house hoping to claim off the insurance, and then probably in another drunken state decides to go and bury his wife in the pet cemetery. Have you learnt nothing from your mistakes, dickhead? And the film ends with the wife coming back from the dead, kissing her lovely stupid husband and slaying him because he's a complete and utter loser. Look at the tagline! Sometimes dead is better. I thought that after watching this film. But at least there's 2 cool rocking songs in the film by the Ramones, one at the end credits and one during, naturally, the truck scene. So if you ever, God forbid, run someone over while you're driving a big truck, just make sure you've got some Ramones playing in the CD player, then you can innocently go, ooh, but Stephen King influenced me, and then all's well. So overall, Pet Sematary is a great horror film which delves pretty low and isn't afraid to dig its claws into you. It's well directed and the characters are believable and likeable. Except that little pain in the arse. But the thing with this movie is, people either seem to like it or think it's crap, but I've always liked it, so I'm going to give it a solid 7 out of 10. Now, just for shits and giggles, because this has nothing to do with Pet Sematary or anything else for that matter, I got some new DVDs in the mail last week, and on the invoices I had some really weird messages attached. Stop it, stop it. That's from Halloween 3. The old man left that house, never to be seen again. Ah! See, that's from Plan 9. See, what kind of a moron sends me these things in the post? Zardos sends you this present. Oh great, a flying stone head sends me a DVD in the mail. Can your heart stand the shocking... Oh, for fuck's sake, more Plan 9 shit.